Hello everyone, I am Cosmos and today I want to show you something a bit different. For the most part, this isn't some crazy speculation with massive lore ramifications, but I simply wanted to share with you something I recently came across that finally settled a long-standing question I had about Stormveil, and in the process reminded me of how amazing Fromsoftware is at environmental storytelling. Stormveil is the first legacy dungeon of Elden Ring and also happens to be my favorite level design in the game. But one of the most visually striking aspects of the castle is the extensive damage one can see on its walls. Upon further inspection, we can get a grasp of the full extent of the damage. Massive holes and gashes can be found throughout the outer walls of the castle and are concentrated on the side facing the sea, with Godric's boss room being particularly badly damaged. For a long time I have been debating what caused these gashes, and the game gives us a hint through the item descriptions of the soldiers' gear. Leather shield of Stormveil soldiers. Much like the castle, it is marred with mottlin and thorns. Some say it is the curse of grafting which caused such affliction, while others talk of its roots being something altogether more sinister, hidden deep within the castle. And indeed, the damage on the castle looks very odd, and very similar to what is happening to the equipment of the soldiers. The thorns in particular are interesting, and if we follow them they lead us under the castle, where we find a strange creature.
The misshapen corpse under Stormveil. That is a sacred relic of the Black Knives plot, as that famed night of assassination is known.
Rogier, as well as the pistol found near it, tells us that this is a face of the Prince of Death, Godwyn. I say a face because we already know where Godwyn's original body lies, and we know that from it, Deathroot has been spreading over the lands between. As for why this thing manifested so vividly and took on the form of Godwyn under Stormveil specifically, is the topic of a very interesting theory that I will share with you another time, so be sure to subscribe. But something isn't quite right. Even if the castle is cursed, the damage we can see looks a lot like something caused by a battle. After all, in the Shattering, Godric had quite a few scuffles. He challenged and was humiliated by Millennia, and we also know that he fled Radahn. And many actually think that the holes could have been caused by meteors. Even in his boss room, we find a dead dragon. And a dragon assault would go a long way to explain the massive claw marks on the walls. Sadly, even those explanations have their issues. For one, meteoric impacts would not drill nice holes in a castle wall. And it's most likely that Godric was the one who attacked the Red Main Castle, rather than the opposite. And even if dragons would have attacked Stormveil, it would take one of the sides of Greyoll to leave marks like this. But Greyoll can't really move, and if she could, Stormveil wouldn't be standing at all. And then there is the deeper issue. The holes and gashes are actually appearing in nonsensical places that would never be exposed to those battles, nor would they be in any line of sight for any sort of artillery damage. And we still have to explain their weird, sickly, decomposing look. For the longest time I was unable to draw a conclusion on the matter. On one hand, the game seems to tell us that the curse was caused by Godwyn. And on the other hand, the damage itself looks like it was caused by some sort of battle, but doesn't really make sense from that perspective either. But recently I made a new fascinating discovery, and it actually happened live while we were doing a lore through of the game over on Twitch. This one small detail finally allowed me to confidently land on a conclusion. In some places in the castle, mostly above where baby Godwyn is, we can see this thing. At first glance, it just looks like damaged cobblestone, and that's what my brain perceived it as even after 1,000 hours playing the game. But if we actually look closely, this is one of Fromsoftware's most beautiful bits of environmental storytelling. First, the gashes actually have the same decomposing texture inside of them as the mottlin and gashes found on the castle. And second, we can see that there was an attempt at keeping it closed using what I can only describe as giant staples, which I learned today is actually a thing done to stop cracks from spreading in construction. This small detail shows us that the gashes are actually something that spontaneously appear, and that despite the attempts at containing them, they still spread and break the staples and grow in size, until they get like this, which in hindsight doesn't really look like something a claw would make no matter its size. And so, Stormveil Castle is cursed by Godwyn's thorns and rotting from within. The stone itself is eaten away and the thorns are spreading from inside. Little things like this are amazing as they can make all the difference. And this reminded me from an anecdote from the Dark Souls 1 design work interview. In that interview, Miyazaki and other FromSoft staff talk about their design process for areas. And when talking about Sense Fortress, they brought up something interesting. For those unaware, Sense Fortress is an infamous area in Dark Souls 1, known for its series of traps, and the most memorable one being the rolling boulders that would hinder your progression throughout the level. And as a hint of what's to come, FromSoft deliberately made stairs of that area worn out and smooth where the boulders would be passing, despite knowing that hardly anyone would ever notice such a small detail, especially on the first time through. This is the level of detail FromSoftware puts into their storytelling, and who knows what small secrets the game has left in store for us. And so now I have a question for you. These same types of marks with the same weird texture can actually be found in a completely different place, the Forge of the Giants. So how come the Forge of the Giant is being eaten in the same way Stormveil is? And there you have it. The next lore video is going to be really important and will be about Melina. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on Twitch and Twitter. And with that being said, goodbye.